Have you ever felt completely lost in draft pick? Like, do I play gold lane, jungle, or roam? And then suddenly the enemy hyper carry snowballs and crushes your entire team before the 10-minute mark. Yeah, that's the nightmare of facing a proper hyper strategy. But here's the thing, if you know how to pull it off, you can flip that script, dominate the map, and win games fast. Today we're breaking down exactly what the hyper strategy is and how you can make it work even as a beginner. Welcome back to Mobile Legends News, your go-to channel for the latest tips, tricks, and strategies to climb the ranks. Today we're focusing on the hyper strategy, a playstyle that revolves around funneling gold, experience, and resources into one core hero, usually the jungler, to carry your game. Think of it like putting all of your eggs in one basket. But if that basket is strong enough, you can steamroll the enemy. If you've ever wanted to play like the pros, understanding hyper is your first step. Now let's be real. Mobile Legends is overwhelming for beginners. You open the hero pool and suddenly you're staring at tanks, supports, assassins, marksmen, fighters, and mages. That's already confusing enough. Add on top of that the idea of team composition, and most new players freeze up. Do I pick damage? Do I tank? Do I follow the meta? Here's the problem. Beginners often try to play their own game without syncing with the team's bigger picture. Maybe the gold laner farms too much but doesn't rotate. Maybe the support players roam randomly without helping the core. Or maybe everyone just fights to farm, starving the actual carry. When this happens, your team falls apart, even if you all pick strong heroes. That's where the hyper strategy enters. It's designed to solve this confusion by making the roles crystal clear. Everyone plays around one hyper carry, the jungler, whether it's a hero like Ling, Yi Sun-shin, or Fredren. They get priority over buffs, farm, and rotations. The roam and mid heroes support their snowball. Gold and XP laners buy time and apply map pressure, so in short, all 5 players unite around one winning condition. But here's the challenge. If you don't know what hyper means, you might ruin the flow without realizing it. Beginners might accidentally steal farm from the core or rotate too slowly, leaving the hyper isolated. On the other hand, if the hyper strategy is used incorrectly, your team becomes too reliant on a single hero. One death, one misplay, and the whole strategy collapses. So the real challenge isn't just understanding hyper. It's about knowing how to actually execute it as a team. And that's exactly what we'll break down next. So, what exactly is the hyper strategy? At its core, hyper is basically like putting all of your pocket money on one kid in a school race. You're saying, I don't care about the other runners. This is the guy that's going to win it for me. In Mobile Legends terms, your team channels gold, buffs, and resources into one hero, the hyper carry, which is usually your jungler. But why would you do that? Simple. Because in Mobile Legends, snowballing is king. If you get one hero so strong, so fast, they become unstoppable. It's like feeding one dog in a pack all the steak. Suddenly, you're walking a beast while the others are just along for the ride. This isn't just a theory either. The hyper strategy has been around for years and has been used in professional leagues to secure fast, decisive victories. Pro teams know that coordinated hyperplay can break games wide open before the 15-minute mark. But what are the key roles in hyperplay? Now let's break down how this actually looks in game. Hyper only works if everyone understands their job. Think of it like a boy band. You can't all be the lead singer. Someone's gotta play guitar, someone's gotta do the dance moves, and yes, someone's gotta stand in the back keeping the rhythm alive. The hyper carry is the star of the show, the Beyonce of your Mobile Legends squad. Everything revolves around them. They get the buffs, they get the priority in gold, and they decide the tempo of the game. If they're farming the jungle, don't touch it. If they want turtle, the team makes it happen. The most common heroes here are assassins like Ling or Hayabusa, marksmen like Yi Sun-shin, or fighters like Fredren if you want a tanky hyper. The key is that they scale well and can carry fights by themselves once farmed. Then comes the mid lane mage. The mid laner is basically the hyper's bodyguard and cheerleader rolled into one. They clear waves fast, rotate to back up the jungler and provide burst damage in teamfights. Heroes like Lilia, Farza, or Valentina are prime choices, because they can rotate quickly and pack serious firepower. The roamer plays the role of the hyper's babysitter. Their mission is to create vision, peel enemies away from the hyper, and set up fights. So Atlas, Tigreal, Lolita, and Franco are great examples. Think of the roamer like the security guard at a concert. No one gets near the star without permission. The gold laner is where things get a little interesting. In non-hyper comps, the gold lane is often your secondary carry. In hyper comps, however, the gold laner has to play more patiently. They farm, sure, but they don't hog resources. Their job is to hold their lane steady and transition into late game backup damage. Think of them as Robin to Batman. They shine eventually, but for now, they let the hyper be the star. And finally, there's the XP laner. This role is your frontline bruiser, the one holding the towers and applying pressure. They may not always rotate early, but when they do, their presence in fights makes a massive difference. Heroes like Yu Zhong, Paquito, or Esmeralda excel here. They're like the unsung roadies of a concert. You don't notice them much until the lights go out and suddenly they save the show. But why is teamwork everything in Hyper? Now here's the truth bomb. Hyper strategy falls apart without teamwork. If the roamer steals jungle creeps or the gold laner hogs buffs, congratulations. You just sabotage your own star player. Teamwork in Hyper means discipline. Everyone has to buy into the plan. It's like making a group TikTok. If one guy is offbeat, the whole thing looks cringe. Same with Hyper. One misaligned roll and the enemy snowballs instead. Think about it this way. The Hyper is like a Formula 1 driver. Sure, they're skilled and fast, but they're only as good as the pit crew. Without the roamer setting vision, the mid covering rotations, and side lanes holding strong, that shiny F1 car is just stuck in traffic. But how does it actually work in game? So let's play out a scenario. At the 1 minute mark, the hyper jungler gets red buff while the roamer helps leech. The mid laner clears wave and rotates to cover blue buff. The side lanes, they don't interfere. All resources go to the jungler. By minute 3, turtle spawns and the whole team collapses onto the pit. Because if your hyper gets turtle buff and gold, they're suddenly 2 steps ahead. By minute 5, the hyper has their first core item. This is when the aggression starts. The mid laner and roamer force fights around objectives, letting the hyper pick up kills and snowball harder. By minute 10, ideally, the hyper is now so farmed they can delete squishies in seconds or shred tanks with ease. By this time, the enemy team is panicking because they can't catch up in gold or XP. But what are the heroes that shine in hyper strategy? Some heroes now dominate the hyper role thanks to the evolving meta. Assassins like Hayabusa and Julian are running rampant in S tier, delivering lethal combos and mobility that let them slice through backlines like a hot knife through butter. Ling remains A tier but still reliable if you can master his wall mechanics. Meanwhile, marksmen such as Granger and Melissa sit firmly in S tier. Granger's bursty kit and kite potential combined with Melissa's raw output can fully erase towers before opponents can blink. On the tanky side, fighters like Fredrin, Arlott, and Lucas have climbed into S tier, offering durability, crowd control, and sustained presence that turn teamfights in your favor when built as hyper carries. Now, I know I've hyped up this strategy quite a lot, but let's keep it real. It's not foolproof. The hyper strategy is high risk, high reward. If your hyper carry dies early and repeatedly, you're basically walking into fights with 4 underfed teammates. That's why some pros actually avoid hyper in certain metas, since it's predictable if countered. But when it works, it feels unstoppable. It's like rolling downhill on a skateboard with rocket boosters. You either look like a genius or you crash spectacularly. And here's a little fun fact. The hyper strategy in Mobile Legends was heavily inspired by old school funnel strategies in League of Legends, where teams would pump farm into one single mid or jungle carry. It was so strong it got nerfed out of existence in League. But in Mobile Legends, it's still alive and kicking thanks to shorter matches and different scaling. But why should you learn Hyper as a beginner? If you're new to mlbb, Hyper teaches you more than just how to win. It teaches discipline. You learn when to rotate, when not to take farm, and when to peel for teammates, as well as when to sync up for objectives. Even if you're not the hyper carry, understanding your role in this strategy makes you a better teammate. Plus, let's be honest, winning fast feels great. Nothing boosts your rank climb confidence like crushing a game in under 12 minutes. And that, my friends, is the magic of Hyper. It's flashy, it's effective, and when done right, it makes the enemy team feel like they're stuck in tutorial mode. So to sum it all up, this Hyper strategy in Mobile Legends is all about discipline, coordination, and funneling your resources into one unstoppable core. We talked about how each role contributes, why teamwork is crucial, and which heroes shine best in this setup. When executed well, Hyper feels like cheating. It snowballs games before the enemy even realizes what hit them. Try it out on your matches and you'll see just how powerful this strategy is. Now it's your turn. Have you ever tried running the Hyper strategy with your squad? Or maybe gone up against it and felt helpless? Share your experiences down in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. And don't forget to check out our other videos here on Mobile Legends News for more pro-level tips and strategies. Till next time!